You're tuned into the Visibility Strategy live stream with Amy Nubson and Christina Vidovich, where strategy meets storytelling and confidence takes the spotlight. Join us every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern as we help you set sail on your visibility journey. Well, welcome to this episode of Visibility Strategy. I'm Christina Vidovich, Visibility Strategist.
And I'm Amy Nubson, Growth Strategist. And we are so excited to have you join us today because we are talking about one of those fun things when you think about speaking, engaging, like ethics, right? What is ethics and how does it guide you? That's really what it's about, is what is your guiding principles?
Yes.
Those are your ethics.
Yes. And today's inner work is all about that ethics and what does that mean for values? You know, it changes throughout our life, right, Amy? From the time that we're kids to teenagers to 20s, and then when we're full-grown adults. What does ethics look like? You know, because I think about attention grabbing, right? Some of the things that, when it comes to visibility, that people will do for attention grabbing. In every episode, everything I think of is something horrible, something I want to say, but I actually don't want to repeat, of like, oh yeah, it did some attention grabbing and it went viral, but it wasn't for the right reasons.
Exactly. So when you're thinking about that, yeah, attention is one thing, but are you going to feel comfortable about it? Are you going to love it in 5 years and go, oh God, I did this. Look what I accomplished. Or are you going to go, oh yeah, that was me. And you kind of want to hide behind your, like, please don't recognize that. You know, like that's where the difference is. Yeah, there's gimmicks out there. I see them all the time and I cringe. And I'm like, so when somebody starts something with some ridiculous thing and then it changes completely, immediately I scroll up. Mm-hmm. I'm so annoyed. Mm-hmm. That I'm like, no, if you can't capture me by you being you, no.
Right. And so I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the one that which just keeps coming back. 2 girls, 1 cup. Okay.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. I luckily never seen.
Never saw it, but heard all about it.
All about it. Right. Yeah. Think of those, the people that participated in that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they aren't excited about it.
No, exactly. How do you put that on your resume?
Right. You know, I hadn't thought of those for years, but yes. It's those things, right? And that was way before all of this, like all of the like how many more people are producing. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes we go viral for good things and we have no idea how we even did it.
Yes.
And then there's some times where you're like, oh, this is hilarious and funny. And then later on, you're like, that wasn't great.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, our 12-year-old mind captures those moments of like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if, but the adult mind stops and if this is what happens. So it's so interesting, you know, to think about that. And I'll even give you an example. Back in the days when people would take pictures and put them out on film, there's a picture of me and our 7th grade, 4 of us, in the locker room. Now, is it a big deal? No, but we were 12. So that picture should not be out there anywhere. Now, mind you, we were still all decent, but still, you know, it's one of those moments of going, okay, the 12-year-old mind was having fun as 12-year-olds. Yep. But those pictures, would they ever resurface? Somebody's going to get sued.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's the truth of it. You think of, you're like, I used to make skits all the time. And then like because we had a recorder, you know, when we were kids and we would make little skits. And, you know, and you think back and you're like, they were all, of course, very PG, but what if somebody wasn't, you know, or we said something we didn't understand, or, you know, somebody took something out of context. Those moments could exist. So I get when people are nervous about how to post. Yes. How do you show up? Because when you overthink it too, then you start to go down all these like what if situations. Yes. And it can paralyze you as well. that's where the ethics comes in. It's like, if you know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you know what you stand for,
Yeah.
you know where the boundaries are, you don't have to worry about those things. You can go live. You can have those conversations. You can be like, yeah, I did say that out loud, but well, okay. You know, it's okay. Even if it was silly or goofy or a mistake,
Right.
it's within your ethics.
Exactly. And to that point, I talked to this wonderful woman who's in the adult entertainment industry. And when I spoke with this woman, she's a mathematical genius. I mean, it's incredible.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah. But when you talk to her, she's like, yeah, I have to deal with that because that's my industry, with the people, the way that they talk to me. She's like, what people think and what they see are going to be two different things. And I know that. So she even has her own, even in that industry where some people aren't familiar with it, are going to go, well, is that ethical? To her, she runs her business in a very ethical manner. So it all depends on who you are and how you show up. And those boundaries, which was our last month's talk, all about those boundaries of where do we say yes, where do we say no? Because once we're out there, it stays out there.
It does. And that's where I love the too, is that non-negotiables too. Like, if you're not comfortable talking about your clients, then don't talk about them.
Yeah.
And find ways to politely say, I love the question. Thank you so much for asking, engaging in what I do and how it helps my clients, but I don't feel comfortable answering on their behalf.
Yeah.
Find those responses, practice those responses so you do keep those boundaries. Because I think of like those movies you watch and you're like one little choice, that you're like compromise themselves. And then before you know it, they're compromising themselves again. And then before you know it, like they've really gone off track, right? That's a whole hero's journey, script, but then they have to find themselves again. But when we're doing the small little videos here and there, putting ourselves out there, we don't want to compromise and start compromising ourselves more and more and more. Before you know it, you feel disconnected from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You feel lonely, or you might feel a lot of different emotions, but there's just, something doesn't feel right. And that can happen in so many different ways. And then you have to find yourself back. Then you have to really do all that extra work to go, wait a minute, how do I want to show up right now?
Yes. And you said it right there, Amy. It's that extra work that coming back, because this is so important. And this is something that we teach, is that inner work of stopping, authentic, that word gets thrown around again and again and again, and I love the word genuine, because who are you genuinely? And I think about when people show up online, there's a fine line to me, of where we talk about our relationships. Mm-hmm. And it's not my business to ask anybody about their relationships. And, my life, my personal life is personal. So I like to keep it that way. And so that's one of those places where I see people, it's like, oh, well, they posted this about their relationship or their anniversary or their whatever, so I'm going to post too, to show off. And just to your point, Amy, then something goes awry, and now they weren't doing it because they felt that was the right thing to do. They were imitating. Yes. And so now suddenly that social media post that was full of this wonderful boyfriend and we're going to get married one day is all gone. And the person feels bad and they've disappeared. And now they're, like you said, having to work with all that inner work of going, oh, what is this now? What is this feeling? And, not that it wasn't ethical, but it's where are my values within that?
And how do you value yourself? Yeah. That's a big, and you notice if you've been watching us, listening to us in the last, I don't know how many months we've been doing this, we haven't brought up our families. We haven't brought up any of that kind of, we do that on purpose. We know each other well. We know each other's families. We don't bring those up on the calls because we know there's a boundary there, and that's intentional. So you don't have to bring your personal life into your business if you don't want to, or if it doesn't make sense. Like for us, it doesn't make sense. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, how to get women visible and who you are as a person. So we talk about ourselves, like who we are, because that's what matters.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And, those are the non-negotiables, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because I think we're pretty awesome. So why not just stick with us?
Exactly. It's about who we are. That's why we're here, to share each other's brains, share knowledge, and get women visible. And on that note, it is time for our mid-roll dance break to invite you to our visibility accountability calls every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. So enjoy this.
Share your story, own your name, step in the light, ignite your flame, show up, shine out, it's time to be heard, flip fear into power with every word, visibility, accountability, we write a wild new legacy.
And we're back. So yes, those are great calls for you to come in. It's woman-centric, women-centered, so it's a safe space to share your visibility journey. So whether you just want to come and listen and find out about who we are and what we offer, please do. And if you're ready to get some tips and tricks and find out, come do it. You have 30 days, or 4 calls to join us for free to find out more about what we do and visibility accountability. Careful with that offer.
Exactly. And that's the part too, is like, I was thinking about that on the break. I'm like, because people ask us all the time about AI and AI videos and how do you show up and what do you want to do? And, and for me, it's more about the ethics. I need to show up for who I am. I need to be proud of like standing in my own power means getting live, going with who I am, not the perfect version of myself, not the AI perfect speaking, great hair, like that's not what I'm all about. So using an AI video for me feels unethical. Now it could be completely different for somebody else. That's what we're talking about. It's all about who you are and where you stand.
Wow.
And I just can't do AI for that purpose. I use AI for different things, but not that one.
And that's so interesting. So I have learned, just having come back from VidCon and having a youngster there with me, to talk about Gen Zs and alphas in particular, who are the 14 and under crowd, 15, I think, who are actually really fighting this whole AI video piece. They don't like it. I am really surprised by it. Who is embracing those videos? And they're like, no, it's not. They're the ones who are saying it's not authentic.
Yeah, or I've noticed too, as I engage with them, that they're like, something's wrong. And then they get irritated and they don't quite understand it. And I'm like, it's really interesting watching them process that.
Mm-hmm.
And they get irritated.
Yeah.
Because they're also in that really vulnerable space of learning. So then they're learning wrong.
Yeah.
I remember watching a video of a bear jumping on a trampoline, at night, and you're like, no way, no how, that ain't gonna happen. And the kids are like, isn't it funny? I'm like, no, like this isn't real. Like, and I'm like, there's no way a bear could even get on it. Like, it would tip the thing over. I'm like, but we logically as adults go, if you ever try to get on, it's even not an easy thing as an adult with limbs to get onto a giant trampoline.
Yeah.
Like, at least maybe I'm the only one that looks very ungraceful, but so I'm like, this is how AI is changing the game. And to me, I don't feel like that's clickbait.
Yes.
going back to that idea to get noticed, to get clickbaits, yes, it worked, but what is it doing in the long term? And that's what I stand for. I don't want to confuse somebody or think that's a reality. That's not possible. Maybe it is possible, but I'd rather have been captured for real.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because now I question everything.
Yeah. Makes you the cynic for everything. Absolutely. And it's so interesting to look out there and recognize, because right now we can still, and those of us who are used to it can pick out those AI videos, but they're talking about the sophistication of it can be so close that you won't even know who you're talking to. There are laws against money printing because there are printers out there that are so good, they can print money to look and feel just like money. And so those are actually like banned by federal law. So to the same point, we have to ethically look at the people who are putting these AI programs out there, and will they be able to stop those levels?
Yeah.
Keep it so that we know and not getting tricked. That's a real ethical question coming up.
Exactly. And there's going to be quite a battle on what is ethical and what's not with AI. And at the point that you can control it right now is where you are personally invested in it. Like, where is yours? Use it that way. You can easily compromise yourself in small little ways by using AI, or using like, it's okay. Like, it'll be okay. And then a little bit by little, before you know it, you may not recognize your own brand.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad to me, because you spend a lot of time creating a brand and a vision and a mission and all the messaging and all the time and effort. I could imagine going, what is it? I don't even recognize it anymore.
Yeah. And it's interesting as business people to watch how people will do things for the money, feel that, okay, if I don't do this, I'm not going to be successful. So moving out of their own personal integrity to go, oh, wait, I've got a quick buck. But is that quick buck worth it?
Yeah. And it's the same idea being, I see people do it all the time in marketing world, where they talk you into with like fear-based marketing or aggressive marketing techniques, where you finally say yes, even though it doesn't feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so you try these tactics. I usually try tactics and just because I want to experience them, so I can understand if somebody comes to me with them, I know what it is. Because I'm a person that needs to understand them and experience them and figure them out. I'm like, so I've tried a lot of them and I'm like, oh, yuck. Like, this is so gross that I can't even, like, I will talk against this marketing technique. Like, this is awful.
Yes.
But for some people, it might work really great.
Yes. Well, and one of those things that people also feel the pressure, not only of money, but is time. So that's like, oh, I've got to do the quick fix. I've got to do my people pleasing. I'm in panic mode to get myself out there. And so there are times when they could compromise what otherwise they would have a logical, realistic emotion about, going, no, that's not happening. So it goes back to the other thing that we teach is sometimes there's magic in the pause.
Yes. And pause comes in so many different ways. And it's okay.
Yeah.
I took a pause last week. That was, okay, right? Like, I could do that. Now I am resetting myself and I'm going, okay, now what's now moving forward? How do I get back? What am I doing online? I'm always rechecking in with myself and how I feel. What do I want to do? What do I feel inspired to? I might have a plan and I'm like, you know what? I'm not really inspired to do that. I'll change because of where I'm at and how I'm feeling, or what I feel needs to be heard at that moment. So there's some planning and there's some in the moment posting, because you need to be able to engage with your audience.
Yes. And I love it because you said it right there. A lot of those ethics are coming from how we're feeling. And we would love to talk more about that with you in our Visibility Accountability. Again, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Go to the website, womengettingvisible.com. You will find the accountability there. You can link right in and join us, and we will get you that Zoom so you can join us. All right, my friends, this is today's Visibility Strategy. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Christina Vidovich, Visibility Strategist.
And I'm Amy Nubson. I am the growth strategist.
Share your story, own your name, step in the light, ignite your flame, show up, shine out, it's time to be heard, flip fear into power with every word, visibility, 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 we write a wild new legacy, legacy, legacy.
You're tuned into the Visibility Strategy live stream with Amy Nubson and Christina Vidovich, where strategy meets storytelling and confidence takes the spotlight. Join us every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern as we help you set sail on your visibility journey. Well, welcome to this episode of Visibility Strategy. I am Visibility Strategist Christina.
And I am growth strategist Amy. And today we are talking about the messy middle. Like, this is one of my favorite topics. And this is what I teach so often when we're talking about storytelling. And it's interesting to watch. I don't know if you noticed this too, Christina. When you watch a speech, there are moments where people start to dive into that messy middle and then they talk around it.
Yes.
They don't quite go in it. And it's like, but if you went in it, we would have been like fully engaged and like just with you. And there's just a little bit more work to be done if you can't quite go there. And it's also, how do you do that, right? Because I'm sure I've seen where they go into the messy middle and you're like, ooh, that was too much information. So there truly is an art to this technique, right?
Yes, I agree. You know, you watch a speaker tiptoe around it and you're ready for it, but there's something left. There's something left in that, like you said, that they haven't worked through yet, that vulnerability, that piece that still isn't quite ready for prime time. And, you know, it's fun because today's month in today's episode is about the ethical visibility in speaking. So what is it like to go through that messy middle even before we get on stage? What have you seen with people that you're working with, Amy?
There is so much emotion when it happens, when you're talking about the messy middle. And a lot of times I just sit and listen. And what I'm looking for is what's important to them and what's important to the message. So there's a lot of messy middles we talk about. And I'm like, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, this one is. Let's dive a little deeper here. But the other thing I'm looking for, because we are talking about ethics this month, is, are they ready to tell that story? Are they ready to dive into that whole messiness and tell it out loud? Because it is very vulnerable. It is very, sometimes to them, still heartbreaking. And they have to be ready to step into that. And if they're not, I never push anybody to do that, even though it would be a better story. It is not right.
Yeah. And what I appreciate about that is, as an ethical speaking and storytelling coach, to help that person realize maybe this isn't the story to tell just yet. Because just like you said, there is a bit of a therapy session. And as a trained psychologist myself, you know, it's like watching those pieces and being very, very careful. And I appreciate the coaches that realize there's a real fine line of where to stop ethically and pull back and go, you know what, this is a bit much for my expertise, versus, having somebody land on that with you and being unprepared for what that's going to look like. So I think that's something that's real important as well.
Yeah, because I mean, of course, the dirtiness or the, whatever the chaos is more interesting, right? Because we get taught that by watching TV to watching movies, like we get drawn into those story arcs. But that's not always what's helpful to that person.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't tell my entire story. It took me 5 versions to tell my story in a way that was empowering me, but then also allowed me to kind of share the messy without going fully into it, because I realized it wasn't my story. It was my husband's story. He needed to go into that messiness. I had to go into my messiness, and it was easier to tell his story than it was to tell my story, because I got to disconnect from it a little bit. It was safer to go, this is what was happening to me. And I'm like, no, it's more empowering if I tell what's happening inside me right now. What am I thinking? What am I experiencing? What is going on in my world that was making me miserable?
Yeah.
And that's when the power of storytelling was healing, because I knew what to say, how to say it, and when to say it.
Yes. And you know what else I like is doing it when you're ready. So whether that's working with a story coach or practicing among friends, practicing with your own video so that you can work and get through those moments, because they do make incredible edge of seat storytelling. But if it's going to feel ugly inside, I am, that nakedness, vulnerability that you're like, I can't take it back, then
Or like you're exposed.
yes, then you're not ready for it yet. And it's okay to give yourself permission to say no.
Well, and that's one of the things I love about what we do in our second day is we have storytelling opportunities, right?
Yes.
And these are not polished stories. These are just opportunities that maybe have been sitting inside you and going, I need to tell this.
Yes.
And it doesn't need to be crafted well. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be anything other than I need to tell it.
Mhm.
And that was so empowering that my husband was able to stand up on that stage. He had permission from the ladies in the room. And he shared his story after 12 years of holding it inside him. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was in tears only because I was so proud of him to be able to stand up. I didn't care what he said. Just him standing up was a big deal, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
he wowed that room in a way that touched every single person he talked to.
Yes.
And he didn't expect that.
Yes.
That's when you're ready. That's how those messy middles land.
Yes.
12 years he waited. I never pushed him. I never I always presented opportunities and go, are you ready? And he goes, no. To the point where now there's a podcast. I'm like, this is where your story could live. Are you ready? He goes, yeah, introduce me. That's who you should be working with as a story coach. Or if you're talking to friends, the people in your lives should be encouraging you to step forward, but on your own terms.
I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree. Because if not, this is the part where we go back to the invisibility, where we tell ourselves no, and we keep hearing that voice. And what do I always tell people is it's not your voice that's telling you no, it's somebody else that told you no. So what do? You keep holding back. So it's also finding that support. And again, that is something that Amy and I do together to help you in those supportive stories. And look, it's something that we do with our conferences, as she just mentioned, on our Story Sparks Day 2 of our conferences, as well as having that support in our Visibility Accountability every Wednesday, where women come together to start sharing bits and pieces of going, how is this going to land before I let it go public? It's a very safe space that we've created for them.
Yes. And I think that's really important because you can tell when even when you're getting a speaking engagement, you can tell when somebody's practiced it or thought it. Like, you can even practice it in your head, but as long as it's there's a flow to it, and you've kind of looked at all these stories in different angles and then going and evaluated it. But it's really, I think, when you're starting off, having somebody hear it too, go, I don't get it. Because sometimes we transition too quickly in a story and we're like, you lost me back here, and I really wanted to follow along, but I couldn't, or I have this giant question in my head that I got stuck and you never answered it. So I feel a little bit, as an audience member, that's the interesting part too, is you can feel almost awkward, like, but I want to know this. There's a journey that you go through as a speaker and the audience goes through a journey.
Yes.
That's the interesting thing I learned as storytelling, is like how those both need to work together to make an amazing, vulnerable story happen. And it's actually not difficult. It's just practice and having the right support. And even if it's practicing in front of a mirror, saying it out loud really helps.
Yes, and I love this. And I want to explore this a little bit more about what that honest piece feels like when we're coming through versus dancing around, and how we can still feel ethical, give a clear message, and what does that journey really feel like for everyone in the room. So let's have our mid-roll dance break starting now.
Share your story, own your name, step in the light, ignite your flame, show up, shine out, it's time to be heard, flip fear into power with every word, visibility, accountability, we write a wild new legacy. Our voice, our values, our feminine grace.
All right, that was a fun break. I was getting really into the song, and all of a sudden, poof, there we were. So that's the thing we're going to talk about, is that happiness spot. Like, where do you feel good about sharing your story? Because it has to come from a real place inside you. And there needs to be a reason, again, to tell this messy story. Otherwise, it becomes like, this friend you haven't seen forever, and you're like, okay, how long do you have? And I'll just tell you everything that's happened to me. So we don't want that to be that way either. We want to be very intentional with what you're saying. Did we lose you, Christina? I'm just going to keep talking. So that's the beauty of live. So what we are doing today is talking beyond the surface, right? What is there? And when I look at the messy middle and what are we actually trying to accomplish, I always bring it back to what it is that you want to tell. Why do you want to tell it? That's the biggest question. Why? And if why has a good purpose and a reason, and it has the intention of behind it, then we dive into it. So for me, I talked about my husband's accident. But like I said earlier before the break, I talked about his experiences, what he was going through. And that was my first versions of the story. And then I realized, wait a minute, there was a whole element that I was being neglecting, was me. And it was the part that I lost everything because my world flipped upside down and I had to try to pick up all the pieces myself without a partner that I was used to having, because he was in pain and he was out of the picture. dealing with himself. And all of a sudden I became a caretaker, a solo entrepreneur, which he was always my business partner. I became financially strapped. I had to take him everywhere, so I couldn't work. And then all of a sudden I had to take care of of course, my house and property, all that myself. There was all of these things that were happening, but I didn't think they were interesting. I didn't think they mattered because I just had to stand up and start doing things. I think we froze. But what I realized was that was the important part. This is the beauty of live. We don't know what's happening. The internet's doing something funny, and we will find out. So I don't know if it's going live or not, but the thing is, when we are talking, so I'm going to keep going about the messy middle. These are the things that we need to explore. And the thing when people are like, how do I know? Sometimes the idea of just expressing what was happening inside your head, like those thoughts, those ideas, the things that might be even just screaming at you. And for me, they were ideas or thoughts I wanted to explore. There were things I wanted to avoid or things I never expected to think. Like, how do I get out of this situation? How do I, who am I being? What am I doing in my life? Do I love the services I'm offering? Do I want to live in the location I was? I was in Fargo at the time. Did I still want to live there? So all of these questions came up, as well as all of the situations I was dealing with, because it started to make me question things, which made life a little bit harder. And so never know what is happening to somebody's life. And that was one of the things that was the greatest lesson from that situation. I don't know what's happening behind somebody's life. You only see what's happening on the surface. And on the surface, I look like I was excelling and enjoying life. There she is. I'm just kind of randomly talking, and I kind of got a little bit off topic. I don't know. This will be an interesting live.
Was I on screen?
Not for a while, or if you were frozen for me. So okay. I don't know if you're frozen for our online.
Terrific. Yep, I could see nothing. It was playing the mid-roll break over and over again on my screen.
I'm just talking. So yes, that's, well, we'll just jump into the middle. What we were talking about is how we can recognize something that's interesting and talking about the middle. And I was talking about the inner dialogue can be somewhere that we can express ourselves of what is happening in that moment. Other ways to do the messy middle is to identify a moment out of this whole chaotic element. It's one moment that grabbed our attention that we remember. I think of our memories as interesting as like, why would we remember one thing but completely forget something else? Yeah. Because it mattered to us. Yeah. And we may not know why, but it did. So those moments that you remember, those are important things to consider as a beginning point. And then ask yourself, why do you remember it? Why was it important in those moments? And I start my story sitting in an office, crying. But it was the moment I was contemplating leaving my husband or not. That was a big moment in my life. That was a big decision that I had to make. Am I going to continue to stay and fight, or am I done? That was my path, the divide, right? And it wasn't an easy question. It wasn't an easy decision. And that's what led me down the path of where I went. So those points, those moments, those sometimes everyday elements. I was sitting in my office watching the snowfall. There was nothing spectacular that happened. But it was that tiny, tiny moment of that whole situation that was super important.
You know, and it's beautiful when you just said that right there, because I think of the imagery and the setting of the scene, because it's another way we can express emotion without actually having to go into, well, I was feeling sad. Well, I'm looking out the window. Maybe it's snow and it's the coldest day on earth, or the rain has not stopped for 3 days and I haven't been able to get out of this chair. We know we're already setting that beautiful scene to get us to that moment.
Yes. Because you want them to get there quickly, right? And that's how I start that moment, and it's exactly it. You know, as I watch the snow fall, tears are streaming down, you know, I'm crying and I can't move. I can't go home. I cannot move forward. I mean, that's how I'm doing it. I don't have to say anything else. You already get the scene. You get and it's really quickly, because the scene matter, but you want to bring them into the scene and then have them follow you. So it doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday. It didn't matter. Obviously, it's in the winter somewhere where it's snowing, and I don't have to point that out, right? You know, and I wasn't home. That's what was the big thing right there. I couldn't go home. And how many women have been in that situation where I can't go to work? I just can't do it. I can't go back to that toxic environment, or maybe they couldn't find their way home. That's a relatable feeling where you're just like, I can't do it again. So now I've already associated with something that maybe you've already experienced yourself. And then I'm going to lead you out of, you know, what happened. So that's the messy middle was my world falling apart. And I had to explain it really quickly, because my message and my journey out of it was the important part. What did I do about it? How did I survive it? And we went to that part. Because then I go from being a victim of the situation to a survivor, or even the hero. That's what the hero journey is, right? It's the idea of going out of that and into something better or something different. It doesn't have to be better. It's different. Because, you know, if you talk to any kid, they're like, it's not fair. I'm like, life isn't fair. Right? Like, how many times have you heard that from a kid? Like, every time you talk to them. You know? But the thing is, it can be interesting and unique, and it's yours.
Yeah. It's a beautiful journey once you can get there, and it does take practice. And just like you said, Amy, it's being able to each tell it, being able to step a little bit further away from it being so riveting in your own body, that earthquake that can happen, but just go, you know what? It's just part of the journey. And boy, oh boy, was it a lesson that I had to learn. But that lesson that I've learned, that messy place, I can share with somebody else so they can take away. Because again, it's about our audience and that honesty that we can give our audience. That's the beautiful part.
Yeah, and like we said in the very beginning, if you're not ready to tell the story, tell a story that's close to it. And I remember developing very easily other stories that kind of supported it. And that's where I started. I started there, the small mini stories inside my keynote speech. because that I was comfortable with, that I could do. And then as it all kind of developed into it, I was able to tell the beginning, because that was the most raw, the most painful part of what I wanted to say. So there are so many supporting stories you can develop. And I think of it as just kind of like getting to it, like the really beautiful part of like, okay, now I'm ready to go here. Okay, and now I'm ready to go over here. And I want to go a little bit more, because I'll be honest, telling and developing that story was so uncomfortable. And for someone who wasn't used to sharing her private life, that was like laying it all out there, to the point where I talk about not having money because of medical debt and going, okay, here it is. This was my life. And it's not something I was like, I'm super proud of it, like what happened and all that. But the idea is I'm proud of who I became out of that situation. I think that's what's also empowering about these stories. And when you tell them truthfully, you can go, yes, that happened to me, but that's not who I am. So it empowers you. So I encourage you, if you have, we all have stories inside us that just want to come out so badly.
Yes.
So, if you want to, just come out to DC and join us on Story Sparks and just tell it on a safe space. See what it feels like, and get, if you want feedback. If not, you want to leave the room and take a break, that's okay too, because I did that the first time. I had to leave and go, take a breath, because you did that. That's the beauty of that room, is it's whatever it's how you need it to be in a very safe environment to tell that story that's been just wanting to come out.
Yes, absolutely. So Washington, D.C., October 9th through 12th, 2026 is our conference. And if you want to get to know a little bit more about Amy and I, join us Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, for the visibility accountability, so that you can start on that visibility journey. Because we start with the inner work, we go to the speaking, we show up on social media, and then we celebrate our wins every single month. And we do that with the support of you and the other ladies in the room. So check out the links and join us, womengettingvisible.com. We will see you next time. Thank you for joining this Ethical Visibility episode of Visibility Strategy. I'm Christina.
And I'm Amy. Have a good day.
Share your story, own your name, step in the light, ignite your flame, show up, shine out, it's time to be heard, flip fear into power with every word, visibility, 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 we write a wild new legacy.
You're tuned into the Visibility Strategy live stream with Amy Nubson and Christina Vidovich, where strategy meets storytelling and confidence takes the spotlight. Join us every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern as we help you set sail on your visibility journey. Ethical visibility is what we're talking about in this Visibility Strategy live stream podcast. I'm Christina Vidovich, Visible Strategist.
And I'm Amy Nubson, growth strategist. And we are so excited to talk about the difference between like how you consume social media in an ethical way, including the filtering it, and how we consume it, to how we present ourselves and be on it. There's so many different ways we engage with social media today, and it does affect our nervous system in many different ways that we have to be aware of.
Absolutely. And boy, oh boy, the little things that can get out there that suddenly trigger us that we didn't even know were going to trigger us, whether it's somebody else's post that we get locked into, or our own fear of how are we showing up? What does that look like? So let's jump right in, Amy. Let's jump right into this week's ethical visibility and social media. What is something that you would put on the do list for ethical visibility showing up on social media?
Yeah, for me, it's really just sitting down, writing what I want to say. What is the message? What is the intent of the message? And then hitting record, right? It's really about authentic communication and letting it speak directly from me to my audience, and not filtering myself, trusting myself and knowing that I know what I'm saying is what I want to say. And then I'm like, if I don't like it, I might take one or two more, takes, but I don't do the perfect. I used to do like 15, 20 takes for a short little video. And I'm like, I am so exhausted. And I did a 1.5-minute video. And I'm like, no, I need to trust myself.
Yes.
And the mistakes, the goofs, the giggles, whatever it is, that's all part of my communication style. And that's what I keep now.
I absolutely love that, because I'm Team Amy. Showing up, because you're right. I mean, really, that is exactly the same thing I do. I will do a take, and it's literally no more than 45 seconds that I will drop back down to 30 seconds and going, what is the message I need to get across here? And that is really what I want to be able to do, because it's just showing up as you are, where you are, whether it's an amusement park, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's sitting in your office and having that moment. I mean, there's so many of us out there like, but there are these people who are batching all of their material all at once, and they want to get it out there and they want to show that. And which is a great concept to do, because in our workflow, we can put it out there. But I also feel like that in the moment, how I'm feeling will really show through without it feeling so scripted.
Yes. And I love doing both, because there's moments where I need to have a few kind of in the background, because I get busy or distracted, or I'm working on clients' work.
Yeah.
So I need a few that are just ready to go. But I also love putting those in the moment, like you said, ones that you're just like, this is a beautiful scenery. I want to shoot a video with me in it, and I want to express what I'm feeling right now, or I have this beautiful idea. I'm going to go ahead and capture it.
Yeah.
Though I think the blending of the two, especially when you are a busy entrepreneur, think through those things. I used to do a whole bunch of videos all at one time, and I would be so exhausted by the time I was done, and I would change outfits and everything. And I'm like, okay, by the end of it, I was like, okay, I had no energy left for those last videos. I'm like, no, it's better just to do a couple and do a couple more the next day. So I had that energy, had that excitement. It's so much easier for me now to do that than it was to do lots at one time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, again, back to what we talk about, is that conserving our energy, making sure it's in alignment with what we want out there. So there are those times, and I absolutely, say yes, do those. But when it feels like it's the right moment, do those too. Because our message does change over time. It's like you might have learned a new lesson and like, oh, well, this isn't really important anymore, but this is where we are. Because look, trends are changing all the time. Algorithms are changing time. Messaging in general, what is the hot thing to do, is changing all the time. So that kind of goes a little bit into our ethical clickbait.
Yes, it certainly does. Clickbaits are one of my biggest pet peeves and turns me off on any video, when it is obviously done just to grab my attention. And I'm talking about, like, they'll throw like glitter on the wall, and then they'll go ahead and talk about something, and then they'll go into a business outfit. And I'm like, what? If it has a connection to the glitter, great. Like, I can see us, because we do use a lot of confetti and glitter looking, like we actually do use it in our branding, right? Like that'd be okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't, why?
But it has to do with dog walking.
Yeah. So So clickbait to me is very irritating and a big turnoff. I know it can suck people in and watch, but I find I'm irritated by the video immediately. And even though I do maybe watch it, it's not in a good tone. How about you, Christina? What do you see in clickbaits?
Well, I want to share a story that I learned recently from someone who kind of got clickbaited for watching somebody's podcast and giving a review. They loved it, gave the 5-star review, and then realized this person had taken everything and rebranded under a completely different brand online. So took those 5-star reviews and said, this is who I am. So talking about clickbait in a huge way and just like, wow, there's the ethics. I'm like, no. And when my friend found out, went back and figured out, I've got to delete that because I wasn't supporting that concept. I have nothing to do with that concept. I liked what you presented here, but it was completely off brand to bring me over into this space here. So yeah, talk about some ethical dilemma and being tricked. That's not a good place for someone. And I agree, that what you're saying is like when we're trying to bring somebody into that space that really doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm like, just for the attention grabbing, it's not the right thing to do. And what does it do? It makes your customers annoyed. It makes your future possible clients annoyed because wait, how are they going to find you? If you're trying to pull from this little place versus being exactly who you are, what?
Yes, completely. I mean, and think about it, like those work really well with children. And unless you're and I still feel like that's kind of a predatorial element. If you're trying to trick a child, that's pretty awful as well, to be honest. But the idea is when women talk to women in an authentic way, we want to see the person who they are.
Yeah.
We don't want to discover it later and go, oh, now I've signed up and I'm in this program and I don't trust it, or I don't feel like I'm a part of it. I don't want to really support this idea. And I'm not feeling like I'm for lack of better words, the tribe. Like this is not my tribe and I'm in this room now. And how do I get out of it?
Yeah.
How many times have you found yourself in that space?
Yeah. Exactly. Because it was presented in the way that wasn't honest or true to what is actually going on, And another one, I mean, because we've all been there too. Another one that came to mind is watch this video and you'll get my free guide to this along with the book. And the video is an hour and a half long and they don't give you any material. It is it's funny because I knew what they were, but I'm like, I'm going to just let this play in the background while I'm, having dinner over here. And then I'm, doing something else. I'm like, that's interesting. They haven't given any tangible anything other than studies show, but they don't actually show what they're saying by numbers. And then you can really have this if, you change this in your life, but they never give you any meat. And even when you reach that hour and a half end, that free guide, you're giving your credit card, you're all of these things because now you're suddenly having to enroll for that free guide. But it's a 30-day back guarantee. It's like, wow. I mean, I'm just going to say, what kind of person does that? Who's the marketing person who's out there going, let's grab them in? Because if they're sitting there for that hour and a half of their valuable time, we will take the money. Just like you're saying, when you're sitting in that room with people and it's like, this does not align with my message. Why would you do that to somebody?
Unfortunately, so many people do it. It's the same with webinars. We're going to teach you how to do this. And then there's absolutely nothing in there except for they're called loops. You get the loop and you get it and then you move to the next thing, but you never close the loop because you never give them actually what you are like. And then we'll tell you later about this and they move on. But the whole idea is to keep the loops open so you learn nothing, but you're waiting. And it's a technique. And again, it leads you astray, or the person, and I just absolutely hate it. When we put on webinars, me and Christina, we make sure there's meat to the information. We give what we can. We try to keep it in bite-sized information because it is only, a short period of time, just like these calls. Those are more beneficial than leading someone astray and going, well, now I have to sign up to learn more. And yes, you can bring people along, but eventually they usually leave your ecosystem pretty quickly because most people feel like they were trapped into an idea or a concept.
Yeah. And I want to dive into that just after our dance break here about what is that nervous system going through when we have those emotions of being trapped or fooled. What is that like? So here's our mid-roll dance.
Share your story, own your name, step in the light, ignite your flame, show up, shine out, it's time to be heard, flip fear into power with every word, visibility, accountability, we write a wild new legacy.
Woo! There we go. Amazing. So yes, we invite you every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific to join us for Visibility Accountability, where this evening's call, we'll be talking about the ethical visibility online and all of the things that we are sharing with you today. We dig in deeper. So check us out, womengettingvisible.com, accountability, and sign up with us. So Amy, let's go into that nervous system regulation going on when people are pushing us into those spaces.
Well, there's always a positive and a negative to everything. That's why I like to look at things, right? So when you're irritated from a video, why? Like dig into it. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? How am I feeling this way? Like, where is it in my body? Like, where is the tension? Are you fidgety? Sometimes I feel like I just feel heavy, or my body feels like it's tingling when I'm really upset. I want to pay attention to the level of irritation also, right? Because that's telling you something too. And then I start looking at, I love when you said earlier, you watched that video all the way through, you knew what it was doing, but you wanted to see what they were doing and how they were doing it, because what women do, and both of us, me and Christina do, is we want to experience it so we know what not to do.
Yes.
Because we didn't like it. Yes. And we want to avoid it. So sometimes experiencing those things is not always a negative. It's also applying it into the future of going, that's a little bit clickbaity, and I don't want to do it.
Yes.
I know what that feels like on the other side. How about you, Christina?
Yeah. Well, and another thing is when we're posting out there, and that feeling of feeling safe, because people sometimes will go, oh, well, what's this that you just posted? And they're going to respond to it online in such a way. And, we want to be out there and we want to be sharing our genius. We want to be sharing what we're doing and feel safe.
Yes.
And sometimes we just have to remember it's coming from them and not us, where they are on their journey. So when you're feeling that tension, because I know there is always a point in our lives, especially as we're learning social media. I mean, look, we talk about what teenagers go through, teenage girls, teenage boys, and why they don't want social media in the hands of younger children, because we're doing this comparison thing. And again, we have to teach them, and we have to teach ourselves that this message is not about us. And if you want to hit delete from that, hit delete.
Yes.
It's okay.
I love that, because even the idea of viewing, right? There are moments where viewing is just too much for me. we were unable to have children. And so the first days of school are really hard days for me to be on social media with all the kids posting like, oh, look at our kids are going to school. Like for 20 years, I have not, those are the times I avoid social media. I just can't do it. Today I can because I'm finally moving through that space, but it is a long period of time where I could not do it. And it was okay for me to just back away from it, to step away from it and go, it's okay. I don't need to bring that into my life because it brings a lot of heartache. So, and I don't need to compare myself to the families that did.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, great. That's fantastic. That looks cool, and I'm really honestly okay with it. But you have to get to those points and know what is triggering you. Why is it triggering you? Evaluate too, like, is it something I need to engage with? Or can I just avoid social media this week? Which one is it?
Yes. And respecting those boundaries, it's like as business owners, when we're trying to put our things out there, respecting that other people do have those boundaries. So it's like, oh my gosh, people aren't liking, people aren't looking, that people aren't, we don't know, to your point right there, we don't know what the situation is that they have chosen that. It's just not for them. Yeah. But there's another segment that it is for. And it's okay. It's back to what we just talking about, the balance of everything and of where we are. And it's okay.
Yeah. And when your nervous system is out of whack, there are so many different ways that you can get back on track. And it can be as simple as taking a deep breath, going into somewhere quiet. Sometimes I just lay down and close my eyes and do some deep breathing just to kind of re-regulate myself. It doesn't happen often, but we're all triggered by something, by an email, a text, a social media post, a video. And sometimes it's a longing. Sometimes it's irritation. Sometimes it is anger. Like we have all these emotions that can be triggered by videos or comments. The idea is not to respond in those moments. And remember what Christina said, it's a mirror of what they're projecting back to you. So, and that has always been something that's helped me through going, okay, I see their pain or I see where they're coming from. It has nothing to do with me, but I do need to control how I respond to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody who ever gets a comment on their social media from my mother, it's not me. I apologize for her because to her, it is funny. Her mean comments make her laugh, but she doesn't realize that somebody on the other side is getting offended. It's just, like the commentary that you would just sit, between friends and that private joke that nobody should be out there. But it's so interesting, it's understanding again, it's from her. It's not a reflection of you if she's making fun of the outfit that you're wearing.
Right. It's a personality. It's a humor, right? And a little bit of culture, and a little bit sometimes people are, neurodivergent, maybe they're more abrupt or direct. Who knows what it is? So also when you're reading those, texts or comments, check in where you are personally at the moment when you're reading them too. Because if you're already irritated and something else is there, you're going to get triggered more. And so a lot of times I'm like, well, maybe they're having a bad day. Like I just start making shit up in my head. Like, ooh, and maybe they're running late and their kids are screaming at them right now. And they just made a comment, and I make up all this stuff and a whole bunch of it. Eventually I'm like, I have no idea what they were doing in their lives because I was not there.
Exactly.
It just helps me because I'm like, I can't assume.
Yeah. And to be aware of that rabbit hole that we take ourselves down. And when we recognize, just like you said, already checking in with ourselves, to recognize if it is causing these emotions, turn it off, walk away, and literally get out of your head, get out of what you think is in their head because you don't know. Just chill out, give us a call, get on a call with, Amy and I, and just like,
I guarantee it'll be fun.
I'm going to work through some of this ethical visibility with you. We are available again to talk to you. And that's another reason we want you to join us with our fun calls, our insightful calls, and the things that we do in that safe space for our visibility accountability on Wednesdays, as well as the Washington, D.C. Women Getting Visible show and conference coming October 9th through 12th. Tickets are on sale now. We have an early bird price, ends July 31st. So if you want to get that early bird pricing in, join us for that. Amy, anything else you would like to share about our upcoming Voice, Value, and Visibility Conference?
Oh, it's going to be so amazing. I mean, it's in a most beautiful building you can imagine as well. And the energy and, creativity that's going to be in that room, I love it. Every time I'm there with everybody, all of the women, it's just fun. And I used to have high anxiety for conferences, and now I'm leading these conferences, and I'm like, I'm so excited for it. I'm like, what do we get to do tomorrow? Because the people in the room are so different and so uniquely beautiful. And that's why we'd love to have you in that room, because come and have fun, enjoy learning, but also participating and being seen and being heard, but also listening. That's the beauty of these rooms. You get to do a little bit of everything, and however comfortable you are is how you get to be.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're a woman entrepreneur, founder, author, and podcaster, because we will have author and podcast tracks going on in this conference, we want to see you and support you in that room. Your network will just blossom when you show up. So we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for joining us on this amazing ethical visibility episode of Visibility Strategy. I'm Christina Vidovich, Visibility Strategist.
And I'm Amy Nubson. I am Growth Strategist.
To be heard, flip fear into power with every word. Visibility, 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 visibility. We write a wild new legacy, legacy, legacy.
You're tuned into the Visibility Strategy live stream with Amy Nubson and Christina Vidovich, where strategy meets storytelling and confidence takes the spotlight. Join us every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern as we help you set sail on your visibility journey. Welcome to this episode of Visibility Strategy. I am Christina Vidovich, Visibility Strategist.
And I'm Amy Nubson, Growth Strategist. And today we are concluding our month of ethical posting, showing up, storytelling, all of those things that we've been talking about. And we get to talk about the wins that we've experienced this week, this month, and maybe even over the year, because there's always those lovely wins. And when you are being true to who you are, that's when the real magic starts to show up, and opportunities that you actually are wanting to do present themselves, right? So Christina, tell us a big win that maybe for, to the audience, that both of us won this week together along with our partner, Deborah.
Woo-woo! So yes, in our visibility this week, we are chosen for PodFest. We will be speaking on the stage. Yes, you heard it here first.
Yes. I mean, what an honor to be picked as a panel, to be able to speak at PodFest in January. And we were already going. We were playing, or we were going to have a fun time in Florida, but now it's even better.
Yes.
Because we get to go on stage and show ourselves what we're capable of, what we're able to do, and also to invite the room to maybe explore some new ideas about creating their voices.
Yes, absolutely. And the fun of it is going, what are you guys going to talk about? Excuse me. What are you ladies going to talk about? So it is our marketing, our storytelling, and our visibility, and how that can come all together. And it can be in any order. It could be the storytelling to the visibility of the marketing. It could be the visibility to the marketing to the storytelling. What we can do as our collective and help you rise to your own spotlight and stage in podcasting and beyond. Beyond.
Exactly. Very nice there. Yes. What a wonderful win for both of us. What else have you experienced this month as a personal win for you, Christina?
Oh, what's so amazing, it's been some interesting challenges this month between balancing time with traveling, showing up on social media, having to make some decisions about who we're partnering with and what does that look like. And so there've had to been a lot of yes and no conversations that have happened this month. So one of them is giving myself that pause. That's a ethical win, and something we talked about in social media last week, of being able to say, it's okay if I don't post the way that I normally post this week. The algorithm is still staying up there because, look, I got in the room and met a lot of people this past couple months, and being able to share and continue to share those stories. So the algorithm is staying hot and people are on vacation. And this is another thing you and I talk about, Amy, is like that pause. Vacation time is important, and we need that pause in our life. And we don't have to beat ourselves up if something didn't get done today, or even if it was on the list from yesterday and we're not going to get it till tomorrow.
Yep. Okay. I agree. And then planning ahead for those pauses, right? We already planned ahead, back in June. Yeah. We pre-recorded our August, and you'll see them drop next month. And you can tell they're pre-recorded because we're wearing the exact same thing in the exact same spot. But we intentionally paused for that month only. Otherwise, we're live. We're live right now. But we thought about the pause. We planned for it. That's a huge win for us. We're like, that's done, because we're spending that month with our extended families. Mm-hmm. And we need that time to take a break, for our brains to take that pause and get creative again and to get excited. And a lot of people don't realize when you feel like you can't be creative, you just need a moment to play and pause.
Yes.
That's what brings creativity back.
Yes. Yes. And not hiding it. Where some people will say, oh, yes, it's still live. Well, it's a pre-recorded live. It is. Seeing it the first time at that moment. So it's coming live to you. Those debates about words that we have. So to be open and honest about that. And that's one of those things we talk about when we're just telling that story. We can share those moments of what it really is, because we're human. We're not AI.
We are not. I watched the live from yesterday, and there was a nice fun mistake in the very beginnings, or that I recorded yesterday. I was like, woohoo, yay, wonderful. Those are the moments that happen, and you don't get to do an undo on live, but they're kind of fun too. At the same time, you're like, I laugh at least I'm happy. That's a big win for me, is I laugh at myself and my mistakes. I'm like, that was funny. Hopefully the person isn't offended if I called somebody the wrong name on the podcast. I was like, this is great. Everybody was laughing. It wasn't intentional, but that's who I am. And so those are wins when you don't take those mistakes seriously, or you don't quit because you have a small little glitch, or I wasn't actually feeling very good when I recorded it either. So my brain was a little foggy and out of it, but that's okay. That's who we are as humans. Like you said earlier.
Yeah.
We don't have perfect days every single day.
Yeah, exactly. And that comes back to the whole piece of the ethics of what feels good, what feels like it resonates with us, and being able to share those pieces and go, okay, because what did we talk about a couple months ago? And we'll bring it back in that conversation is boundaries. It's okay to set those boundaries. So, you know, even if you don't want to talk about the details, it's not prime time yet. It's okay. The fact that you're getting up and showing up is a win sometimes.
Yes. And sometimes the wins come in magical ways. I was sitting on vacation and my photographer, who I have yet to share my photos with because I was kind of waiting for like a reveal of my photos of my headshots. And he wrote the article about me. And I was sitting in my hotel room crying. And my husband's like, whoa, are you okay? And I'm like, I've never felt so seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
He had captured that moment so beautifully. And he had wrote about it in a way that I was like, oh my God. And he posted it. It looks good. We did a few minor tweaks because it had been a while ago, and off it went. And when it got posted, I was like, okay. It was this nervous kind of energy because I'm like, it was a revealing article. Yeah. And I was like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of it once I got comfortable with it. And well, one, it's easier when somebody else posts it, you know, versus you. But those are the things that we get to share. And I got to share it out and bring it to my audience. You brought it to our audience here at Women Getting Visible. Those are wins. They don't have to be giant wins. Those are massive wins when you're uncomfortable about sharing things about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all over the beauty of taking my headshots. I almost wish I had a recording of that session because there was something very magical when I was getting headshots. I was terrified of being photographed. I didn't like it. I was uncomfortable. I didn't like it, you know, but in that moment, I felt so confident and so comfortable with him. And I just got to be me. And all I wanted the camera to see is me. I wasn't posing. I wasn't trying to be glamorous. I just relaxed and wanted it to reflect who I was. Yeah. And that showed up.
And I love that. And I love what you said there is the alignment that came through. So here you were in a space that wasn't fully comfortable, to find yourself in that space. And then even when it came out of going, whoa, here's another pause for just a moment before the grand visibility reveal.
Mm-hmm.
What a story right there. And it's fun because not only do you and I experience this, Amy, it's part of what we're teaching and helping others go through, because the more experiences we have, and this is something I wrote in my notebook last week, the more stories we have to tell.
Yes, our stories don't end. We'll have a new story today and a new story tomorrow.
Yes.
But you got to go out and have those experiences so you can have those stories. It's exactly right, Christina. We don't stop. You know, and everybody, a lot of people are like, well, my keynote, I had my keynote for 10 years. I'm like, okay, that's great. But what else has happened? Has it evolved a little bit so you can refresh that? Because as people, in 10 years, a lot happens in our lives.
Yeah.
Even a year, a lot can happen. New understanding, new thoughts. So it's okay to adjust your story just slightly, or, maybe replace a little mini story in there with a new one. Our experiences narrate our lives, and we get to choose what that narration is. And so our stories can pop out and go back in, and here's a new one, and here's a new audience for the perfect story I have for you today.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes. And look, when we step into that midlife space, we have lots of stories to share. And it's sometimes developing what that looks like. And you know what a great place that women can come and develop it with us? Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central at our Visibility Accountability. you can join that group for 1 month for free and see what it's like to have that support. Start sharing your stories before you talk on podcasts, before Amy and I help you get them ready for your signature talk.
Share your story, own your name, step in the light, ignite your flame, show up, shine out, it's time to be heard, flip fear into power with every word, visibility, accountability, we write a wild new legacy.
And having that support in that group is so amazing. So again, inviting you to join us Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Oh no, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m.
Yes.
And coming this September, we will have a time in the 11 a.m. Eastern so that our friends in Europe can join us as well. So I'm so excited. Things are growing, and we love to have everyone in the room with us. So Amy, back to the ethical visibility.
Yeah.
You know, in being able to support other women like we do, what would you say is something that is important for someone to do in their practices in coming up with ethical visibility?
A lot of it is just taking a moment to think about, maybe even ask yourself a question of, if I look at my video or this post a week, a month, a year from now, would I be happy with it? Because it kind of stops you in your tracks if you're posting something in the heat of a moment, or, you know, something that you're like, I want to really like get edgy here. You know, I stop and think about it. Would I enjoy seeing this back later on? Or would I go, ooh, that was a little, not me, that was a little harsh, that was a little bit whatever, you know, like whatever that would be. Think about what your future self would think about it.
Yeah. That's a neat concept. And here's the other thing. If you're feeling cringe and you're not sure if it's a yes or no to post, you can always post and take it down.
Yep. Or send it to somebody you trust. You know, if you have a business coach, or if you have a, you know, if you're a part of our group, post it to us and we'll give you a feedback. You know, ask somebody.
Yeah.
Another great way to see it, because it's amazing how many people will see something different in our words than what our intentions are. And it takes some time to understand the difference of intention and readability. They're different. And that's sometimes why I love voice, because I can put the tone in it. I can put my passion in it. I can be angry. I can be excited. I can be sad. I can help you understand the narrative with my tone. But written, it's all about who's reading it and the tone they're hearing it in.
Exactly. So when you're shooting out that text questioning someone, you're sending out that email, it absolutely is so true, Amy, that we, as the receivers, don't always know the intention. So one of the things I like to do is read it back, even out loud, because you can figure out, oh, wait, just this word change will make this sentence sound completely different back to my intention, so that the receiver isn't really questioning what I meant to send or what the intent was to send, so that they're not getting triggered by an emotion that didn't even exist to begin with.
Right. Or if you're like me, when I first started writing, my writing was so passive, incredibly passive, that I had to learn to be more assertive. And I had to figure out that balance of like, what is the right amount? But I didn't want to be passive either. And I was like, no, I need to step into my power, but how do I do that? So it took some time to figure that balance out. So even some of our, you know, if you're overly kind, or you can come across as passive, or I've read emails where I'm like, what do they want me to do? What is their question? You know, like I'm not sure here. And I'm trying to make assumptions or try to figure it out, or I have to email and go back and forth to try to figure it out. And I learned, when you're communicating, there is a beauty of being direct, but in a very soft way that makes it so much easier for people to have a relationship with you. And if it's like us live directly, or if it's a two-way conversation, does not matter. Learning how to express what you want and need is important.
Yes. And I love that, because that's some of the things that will be coming up with our Story Sparks training, is that intonation in our voice, that presentation, so we don't sound like a robot when we're up there talking and we don't even know what's supposed to be the important part of the story.
Right? I have to stop listening to you right there. I'm like, what? It's this weird thing. Your brain just kind of goes, what? And just stops, right? It's like a recorder. You hit pause in your own brain listening. It's for at least for me, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather you have the emotional range. And even if it's anger, I'm like, okay, especially if it's well put, I understand it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Give us a range of who you are, because we are not perfect beings. And our ethics come down to what we believe is the truth. And everybody's truth is different. But I always think about, what is my future self? That's the biggest way I think of it. What is my future self going to think about this?
Yeah. And take these moments to celebrate your wins. That's the biggest advice. What did you do that you stood your ground ethically on when you stood out there? Because it was true to you, and not just because it was in that moment and I got upset. And especially when we are living in a space right now where people get charged and triggered so easily, being careful with our word choices is so important to protect ourselves.
Yeah. But we don't want to silence ourselves. So it's the choices we make that make a difference.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful sum up for our ethivisability. Their new word. Let's put it in Webster.
I love it.
Yes, ethical visibility. And we again invite you to join us Wednesday evenings, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, Visibility Accountability. Go to womengettingvisible.com for that, and check out our events page. More events are coming, not only our conference, our upcoming retreat, more conferences, happy hours, Story Sparks. They're all on the calendars coming up this fall of 2026. And we're already starting to put out our 2027. So thank you for joining this episode of Visibility Strategy. I'm Christina.
And I'm Amy. See you next time.
Share your story, own your name, step in the light, ignite your flame, show up, shine out, it's time to be heard, flip fear into power with every